Hi, Internet family. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about connecting with nature while I'm in this beautiful magnolia tree, whom I love, who you guys have seen before. If you've ever been in Richmond with me at Maymont Park, I would have shown you this gorgeous tree. I love her. She's massive and so beautiful. I actually got a seed from her today. Anyway, so back to connecting with nature. If y'all have read my book, Journal of a Starseed, this will sound a little familiar because I talked about it in this book. And that was written over a decade ago. So I've learned a lot more since. And this is what I can tell you, especially as we're coming into storm season and there are real natural disasters happening. Now, I don't want to get in trouble. So let's just say this is for entertainment purposes only, okay? And feel free to try any of these techniques and play with them yourself and see, because really no one needs to believe you as long as you know what's happening. I'm not trying to say go be delusional and believe in stuff that's not real. What I am saying is question things and try things for yourself, because there's lots that we don't understand yet. There are lots of scientific breakthroughs still to be made, and much of them with the science of life and interconnectedness. So, when it comes to trees, yes, we can communicate with them. Yes, they can hear us. Sorry, this camera work is so shaky, you guys. And try the experiment yourself where you go talk to a tree, greet it, just in your mind. You don't have to do it out loud, and hold your hand a little bit under the leaf and say, if you can hear me. You can even think, if you can hear me, then touch my hand with your leaf, and make sure you do it far enough away so that, more than like a little eighth of an inch. So once the tree actually moves and touches your hand, you'll know that it's a communication. And it might take a little bit, it might take a couple minutes, so be patient. Anyway, I've talked about that in another video. This one is about storms. So I have been through hurricanes before. I have worked with some of them before in learning how to keep things safe. And after discovering, when I was first practicing some of this stuff that I'm going to talk to you about, that I could affect the weather, as we all can if we learn how. This is not something that's unique to me. None of this stuff I'm about to say is unique to me. It's just some of the things that I've learned along my journey. I don't often do it because I don't know all the ins and outs of why the weather is doing what it's doing. I believe that the earth has a greater consciousness than we do, because she's so much more complex than us, and also quite literally made up of all of us and more, and also wisdom from great beings like this, which are alive and have their own communication and their own language and their own intentions and values and so on. And then storms, especially huge storms like hurricanes, I see them as a couple things. Yes, one big entity, and also smaller life forms as well. Much like you and your body, you are one entity, and then your liver is its own being, and your heart is its own being, and your skin has its own knowledge and wisdom, and your hair and your gallbladder and all the things that make you up also have their own life, that and their own adventures. The cells in your body, I'm sure you could have whole epic stories written about the adventures that your what's the word I'm looking for? The system that protects you from disease in your body. Sorry, y'all, my mind is blanking. Your immune system. I'm sure there are amazing things going on in your body right now, maybe, that you will never necessarily consciously know. But each of those cells has its own experience too. So that's how I think about storms as well. So when you're looking at a hurricane, for instance, if a hurricane is coming to you or coming to those you love, this is what I've done that has worked, and it's worth a try. And there are a couple things. First, make sure that you're connecting with your land on a regular basis. We evolved connecting with the land, and the land not only is there to connect with us, but it longs to connect with us as well. We evolved doing this. We are a piece of the ecosystem, and we have a different kind of thinking than the other pieces, and what we have is needed. So make sure you're connected on a normal basis. If you live on a land that has trees, for instance, go hang out with the trees, talk to the trees, encircle your land with energy of protection and prayer. And of course, the knowledge of the higher power, whatever you believe in, but also working together with that higher power. And when storms are going to come, tell your land that the storm is coming. Tell your trees that the storm is coming. And something that I have practiced and I continue to practice is ask the trees that if they need to drop any limbs, if that's something that they need to do in the storm, please not to drop them on your house. Please not to drop them on your car. Please drop them on a part of your land that it's okay for a limb to fall on and it won't have devastating effects. And also, I don't know why this is coming to mind right now or who needs to hear this, but if you have children on your land, teach them to respect the nature as well. I have definitely heard stories and had experiences of pieces of nature that were abused and wrongly treated, eventually getting their revenge by, for instance, dropping a huge tree limb on a house or something when the people who lived there weren't kind to the nature around. And so it was a tight adversarial energy in the land rather than a helpful, loving stewardship, husbandry of the land that you're on. So connect with your land, you can imagine that it's a bubble going around the perimeter of your land and also a dome above and a dome below, protecting your land, keeping whatever is in your purview in the thing that you can claim responsibility over, your possessions, your space, keeping it safe, keeping it peaceful. And there are lots of little pockets. One of the things that I've noticed, for instance, in hurricanes is maybe what we see as devastation is the earth cleansing herself. Who are we to say? I don't know. It's bigger than me. I can't claim to know all the things. But I can say that please, respectfully, in my little area here, I would like to stay safe. If there are large things that need to happen, I get it. But can I have every safe measure possible in my own little area here? Something else is when you think of the big hurricane and all that huge spiral of a bunch of different things, I believe that there are a bunch of different little consciousnesses, like a stampede, right? A stampede is its own thing, but it's also made up of all the horses or the antelope or whatever that are stampeding. Say, put your boundaries up respectfully, because this thing is bigger than you and it chooses what it's going to do. All you can do is lay your boundary down and say, respectfully, please leave this alone. Other things, for instance, something that came up when Hurricane Helene came through, I didn't even know it would be near me, but it was close enough. I had just visited Asheville a few days before it came, and then it was close enough that the following Tuesday, I think it was the Tuesday, I was driving about an hour from my house and some of the roads were flooded. And so I was working with some of that land because I was speaking at a school and the kids had to get home and that kind of stuff. Anyways, one of the things that I imagined, and you energy workers out there, you'll understand this, is you don't necessarily know the answer. Like an energy worker is not the same as a doctor. We don't have the same training. We feel subtle energies, which if you do study anatomy and medicine, I do have students who are in the medical field, Reiki students who are in the medical field. It's great to have both. That's wonderful. But you don't have to have one for the other. And in fact, sometimes certain types of knowledge kind of make you limited in your thinking. So the best thing to do is just to look and listen with your heart, your five senses, and also your mind and see what's needed. So as an example, when the flood waters were coming through, and this did work where I was, nothing got flooded away where I was. Was it only me? I'm sure it was not. I'm not having some messiah complex here. I'm just saying, why not use the power that we have as thinking beings to assist? What I was envisioning was like, okay, there's water over the surface of the land. This is farmland, it's forest land, it's used to water, but something's going on. It can't drain into the ground the way it needs to. So I was envisioning, I talked about this in other places, y'all might have seen it, the same way that you aerate the soil, like by poking holes in the soil so nutrients can get through, doing that for the water, thinking, all right, land, don't close up to the water. Open up, absorb the water, soak up the water, and use it in all your underground rivers. Use it to nurture next year's growth because we're coming into autumn time now, and so on. And that came from, I didn't think ahead of time to do that, but in the moment, as you do as a healer, for those of y'all who've trained, again, you can know Reiki, but you still have to practice it. Practice your healing arts. What's the point of knowing them if you don't practice them? And this is one of the ways to look around at your surrounding land. And this also goes for the human element. It also goes for groups of people doing things, good and bad and in between, and help nurture it, help feed it. And when things work the way that you've asked them to, say thank you and show your appreciation. I think some other people want to come enjoy this beautiful tree, so I'm going to let you guys go. But those are just some thoughts. Feel free to ask any questions you have. I've really just scratched the surface in this video. There's so much more we can talk about. But the point is, connect with your land, connect with your emotions and your heart, because that's the energy that transcends all language, all species, even all class of beings, animals, plants, minerals, weather systems. There's life everywhere, you guys, and you can communicate with it. It takes some practice, but it is worth it because the benefits, they're real. All right, love y'all. Have a great day. Bye.